Urgent, topical, and timely. Power Breakfast with Tessa Dooms, 6 to 9 a.m.
The time is 8:13. You're on Power Breakfast this morning with Tessa Dooms. And of course, we are following a story around Aarto. So for all the drivers out there who are on the roads, there's a big change coming in terms of the way in which our ticketing system, as it were, in the country is going to be run. And so the Aarto system is how you get your fines and all of that. And a demerit system is now being put in place that is going to be changing ostensibly the way that ticketing happens. So we wanted to have a chat about this, understand how the system is working, what's happening with it, and of course, are there any things that we should be looking out for as the drivers so that we don't get caught off guard. Stefanie Fick joins us from OUTA just to give us their view and understanding of this system. Stefanie, thank you so much for joining us on Power Breakfast. Welcome.
Good morning. It's only my pleasure.
Great stuff. So we're going to have this phased in stages, of course. But what is the big demerit system that is coming in? How will it work and who will it impact?
Well, it will impact, it will impact all the drivers that's not driving according to, the laws of the land.
Yep.
So if you are a law-abiding motorist, it should not affect you at all. But
Okay.
we all know that we sometimes make a little mistake. But it is, so Aarto firstly, is all your minor offences. It's not about drunk driving. Those people will still be arrested. The demerit point system will only come into play next year, which makes sense. So they're rolling it out in phases to municipalities. And once it's rolled out to all municipalities, and when I say rolled out, it is the administrative part of how they deal with your license will be rolled out. And I think once that is in play, then obviously the demerit system, which is more, that's where you're going to feel it, because they can take your license away. If you accumulate a number of points, then obviously there's a few months that your license is no longer valid, and then as the months pass, it will reduce again. So that's in a nutshell what, motorists, if you are not a law-abiding motorist, what will happen.
So this does move the system away from being a less criminally punitive system to a more administrative system. You were saying that there are certain offences on the roads that this will not apply to. But give us some examples of what this will apply to. And do we have a sense of what the scaling of demerits were? When I was in high school, we had a demerit system, and not all offences had the same demerit value, as it were. Do we have a sense of that yet?
Well, if you look at the previous schedule, the one that is in terms of the old Aarto Act, then you can get an idea. But no, they still need to. There's quite a number of things that needs to fall into place before it can be rolled out in December to the some of the municipalities like Cape Town. And it is, for example, the appeals tribunal. They still need to appoint people for the appeals tribunal, and they still need to tell us what are the type of offences and what is the demerit points that go with that offence. But let's say, for example, if you park in the wrong spot, you will get a fine. So let's say that is something like 500 Rand, and your demerit points might be 1. I know that, for example, with e-tolls, although that's off the table, so they have to change that too, is that you may get a fine, but there's no demerit point. So potentially there might be contraventions that it's only 1, and then you're more serious. So, for example, if you speed under a certain limit, let's say, I think it's 40 kilometers. So if the speed limit is 60 and you drive 100, you'll be arrested. But if you in a 60 zone drive 80, they may give you 2 merit points. If you drive 90, it might be 3.
So we don't know the full details of that, but we do know that after 15 points or so, that's when you are in danger of potentially losing your right to drive, either suspended for a few months. But is there a potential of somebody completely losing their license if their demerits go up so high?
You will lose your license temporarily. It's only when you lose your license a number of times, then you run the risk of completely losing your license, and then the new Aarto Act makes provision for rehabilitation. Now, those rehabilitation, what that is going to entail, also needs to still be made known, probably via regulation, how that's going to work. You need to pay for the rehabilitation. So
Sure.
you can only get your license back once you went through rehabilitation.
And you talk about rehabilitation. What would that even look like? Because at this point, I'm worried about enforcement. Is enforcement actually even possible in the system? But rehabilitation, who is rehabilitating you in what way, and how do we know you're rehabilitated?
It's a very good question. So it's one of those things that probably why Aarto I don't think will work. I mean, for 17 years it's been applicable in Gauteng and Tshwane, in Gauteng and Joburg, in Gauteng, and it hasn't worked. What is the intention of Aarto? Do you want to reduce road fatalities? And it hasn't. It hasn't for the 17 years. And it's for example. So again, it's probably going to be outside people. You will be able to tender to be a rehabilitation school or something. You'll probably have to look at what standards are you going to teach people. It's about trying to teach you how to drive better, because they're going to accept the fact that if you lose your license because of demerit points, you can't drive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm asking you these questions because both of us are trying to figure this out. We did ask the Road Traffic Infringement Authority to join us this morning. They did agree, but we haven't been able to get them on the line yet. But these are certainly the kind of questions that we hope they're able to answer. Kabelo from Garankuwa, you also have a view on this Aarto system.
Yes, morning, Tessa.
Morning, Kabelo.
Morning to your guest, and we thank Power FM for this wonderful lecture that assists people. My take on this matter is that Aarto system must be reviewed in a sense that on the demerit approach, the main charges must be categorized based on these are the main charges that will fall within the category of being a process of being able to enforce demerit process, because the manner in which law enforcement officers or your metro police, how they write tickets, is highly questionable vis-a-vis your main charge, also to your penalty amount that will be put into place, and the charge that is put in place. Because if we're unable to deal with those catch-22, we're not going to find way, because we will have Tessa writing a ticket because of Kabelo doesn't want to agree to pay Jojo. Because I feel that the offense that is being alleged doesn't warrant, in essence, as to your punitive approach. Because when you look in terms of your main charge, you've got categories of main charge from the charging code. As to here is an offense, I didn't wait on the stop sign, but it has 3 or 4 charges as to how am I paying the penalty amount. So you choose, Tessa, for me to pay 1,000 rand on a basis that I don't want to pay 200 that you want. So you see that it is an unfairness on us as drivers. Hence I'm saying we need to have a relook into the Aarto Act to accommodate the approach of doing your demerit system and other charges.
And that is a fundamental risk to this whole thing. Chocho is a fundamental risk here. If you don't get rid of corrupt practices amongst police, it is not going to matter that you have any system. Any system is going to fail under corruption. Tepiso from Pretoria, you also have a view on this.
And the team.
Good morning.
Thank you for taking my call. Tessa, I've got 2 questions. I think 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But
let's keep it to 2, just max.
Okay. So the first one is that, Tessa, and then how did this Aarto connect with the foreign national peoples, those foreign peoples? Because as we know, some of them, they didn't get the license on the good way, and so how that Aarto didn't connect with them. It's only punish us only.
Sure.
So my second question, or I think is a comment. So I think in early this year, I was driving on the N1 towards Johannesburg. One of the traffic officers, and then so he caught me. Okay, it's fine. I have just to wait for her, and that he stopped another car, and then I told her, I'm going to work. I'm late. He said, no, don't rush me. Then I drove off, and then my license I left. He gave me 2 fines. When I go to RTMC to complain, they said I must go to the police station, all that, to make an affidavit and all that. It's a whole process that is going to be difficult for us.
Yeah.
Not like before you go to court and then so you push your story. So I think this Aarto thing for me, it won't gonna work for us as a South African.
Yeah, no. Many questions here about how this is going to work under current conditions. Stephanie, as you've highlighted, this has been law in the Gauteng area for a while already, not really well implemented. But does it give us some answers to the questions about people who are not from South Africa who are driving on our roads? Will this impact on them, this demerit system? People who are tourists, all of those kinds of things. How does this impact on them?
That's an interesting question, because so they will probably get a fine. I mean, as long as you have a legal driver's license, you can get a fine. The problem is, how are you going to enforce it if they, for example, are here for 3 days, they've committed a minor offense, they get the ticket, but they never pay it.
Yeah.
And they don't worry. If they never come back, so the enforcement will be a problem. If they commit, obviously, a more serious offense, then they can be arrested.
But of course, people who are here from other countries on a long-term basis, here to work, or here as digital nomads, if you live in Cape Town, what is the process there that might apply to them in terms of demerits? Will demerits work with them or not?
Yes, it will. No, it will. If any person that's got a driver's license or not, because you can get fined for that too, is that you run the risk, if you are not abiding by the laws and traffic laws, etc., that you will, by committing more and more and more, that eventually they will take your license away. So even that international motorist will not be able to drive, because you are dependent on your driver's license, and the act is clear. If you are international, so this is just out of interest, if you are an international person here, you need to know the laws of the land. If you go to another country, you need to know what laws are there, and if you contravene them, you get into trouble.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Stefanie Fick there from OUTA, for helping us just wade through this. We did, of course, ask the authority that will be responsible for this to join us on the show. We were just not able to get them on the line this morning, but we'll continue with this because December, there's going to be a big rollout. In April next year, there'll be a big rollout, and this is expected to be national law by next year, September. So we have a bit of time to get our heads around this, but I wonder what concerns we can raise to maybe make this system better. Of course, we know we have high levels of fatalities in this country. Just this week, the community of Eldorado Park has been reeling of car accidents that have taken the lives of some activists and people in the community. And so we know that we have an issue when it comes to our roads, and this might be one of those solutions, but it has to work.